Right, so where I got to last stream was I was attempting to load and resolve the libraries for the debugger before the process has actually been started. Now, the way I was trying to do this was replicating the search path for the runtime linker, and just reading around over the past few days, it seems like that's not going to be a very easy path, particularly as a lot of the libraries are resolved by the cache, and the cache is constructed in a way where it doesn't seem to be, as far as I could see, well documented the format of the cache file, and it's discouraged to try and read that, or even the ldconfig files, which are used to construct the cache and define which directories there are, just in case ldconfig decides to build the cache in a different way in future versions. So the recommended ways to resolve where these things are is to load the libraries. So I did a little bit of hacking. It didn't take very long to implement that instead of the re-implementing the search. So I'm just going to delete away some of the code that I previously wrote. It's all in a revision in source control, so probably not going to have any problems if I ever need to get it back. So now the code that was there before, going through those searches, instead there is a shortcut which I'm not sure whether I should keep here for if the name of the required library contains a slash. It still tries to just say, well, that must be an absolute path, let's use that. Otherwise it's actually going to DL open the library, and assuming that that's successful, it will use DL info to pull out the link map for that library. So once it's loaded into the current process, we have the same link map that we would have, say, that we're pulling out of the debugger process. And inside that link map you get this L name, which we saw before from pulling it out of the debugger, and we can use that. That's the absolute path to the resolved library. And once we save that away, then we can just close the library again. So I'm hoping that will do everything that I need. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of that old library search thing that I was doing. No longer required. I think that was the only thing that called this replace string thing as well. So hopefully that will still compile. Eventually. Okay, so the other thing I want to do is flip over to the main debugger and change the binary file that we're loading. So I'm going to change it back to our test here and see if we can get the libraries out this time. I had already tested this on another process, so hopefully this will still work. So scrolling up here, somewhere at the top above the instruction table, there we go, we've got needed attempt to resolve. Now it doesn't say it's failed, and it also hasn't printed them out, which is interesting, because this was working for the other process I tried. Let's have a look, see if I broke something. First of all, I'm going to try going back to this file, which is the one I was previously checking, just to make sure none of the things I deleted has caused a problem. Pretty sure I only deleted things that weren't being called. So this is the why I wanted to change back, because that actually crashes in somewhere else. But above this rather large instruction table, okay, so it has stopped. Ah, no, this is what's happened. I deleted the printout, didn't I? Did you see me do that? I forgot that I had done that. It's like, we don't need that printout anymore. Resolved. I'm just going to print out the library here. So we've resolved the library to, and then we'll give it the path. Resolved file name, isn't it? And the very next thing I need to do with that information is to start now loading those binary files into memory. Might do that lazily, so that we can then get all the debug information out. So yeah, we see that they're resolved now. Well, they were resolved before, but now we're printing them out. So I want to change this back so we get something that's not crashing. I do want to get back and fix the errors that have been found now that we've added that extra functionality, and we can't any longer debug our processes, one that I could previously debug. So now this should be a couple of libraries here. Right, so it's able to resolve these. I was pretty sure it would, because I think they were resolved in the other example as well. Okay, so I'm going to do the simple thing first and just attempt to load those libraries directly in, just like we loaded this one for the executable. There are going to be a few differences for shared libraries. I think the memory mapping information is going to no longer be absolute, because these are going to be, as shared libraries, position independent, and so the addresses are going to be offset. I think primarily the debug information that we can use when the process isn't actually running is, yeah, I'm not even sure there's that much that we need. It's mainly just the ability to read any associated source files from the debug information. That would be pretty nice to be able to browse through those. And to be able to set breakpoints, right? So I think that was the main thing I was thinking about, loading these up front, because we could load them once the process has started, but if we want to set a breakpoint in any of the dynamically loaded libraries, we wouldn't be able to resolve any symbols. So symbols is a good thing, so you probably should load the symbols they're going to exist regardless of whether there's any debug information as well. So that's kind of interesting. So at the moment I can only have space, I think, to store one debug file, or one executable. In this decoded binary file. But now we have this library structure. So what I'm thinking here is I might just add a decoded binary file in here. Yeah, I think I need the struct when I'm doing this. Do I? Maybe I don't. So you self-references, you need a struct maybe. I'm thinking something along those lines. Just trying to think of what's the simplest thing I can do to try and get this off the ground. So I need to be careful here. If I recursively call decode binary file, I need to make sure that my arena isn't in the middle of doing something. So it might be a good idea to defer loading until we've finished loading the debug information completely. So right before we return the result here, I'm thinking load binary information for dependent libraries. So we're just going to need to pull out from decoded binary libraries. Library count, I think it was. Yeah. So just go through each of those, and what we're trying to do is take the binary libraries and set the decoded library. Still a binary, right? Maybe binary is a good thing to say here as well. Maybe this shouldn't be a pointer also. So we want to set the name equal to itself. So I think I'm just going to pull it out here, library. And then from that, it'll just be the library decoded binary name, file name, file name. Just in case we need it, it's just going to be the library name, resolve name, I think. The other thing we want to do is do decode binary file. So that's just like how I called that before. I think we need to now have access to reading the file. It's kind of annoying. So we need an arena. Fine, we should have one of those, I think. Binary file bytes we don't have. We can load that, and then library file size in bytes, we can get that as well. That's all we need, and then we'll get back a decoded binary result. Binary decode result. Okay. Now we want to set the decoded binary dot. What do we get out of this binary decode result? We get the decoded binary. Okay. So binary file decode dot decoded binary should have been allocated out of the arena, and then we can set this because I think it's just got 0 in it. Oh, I think we need that. So I think if this has been all this stuff has been allocated out of the binary, you could just have. I was going to say we could just point to it, but is that true? A quick check about the decode binary file again. So I want to see it allocating the decoded binary. Yeah, so there it does just allocate, so we can have a pointer, and that would be fine. That might make life a little bit simpler. Thinking about it, since we've allocated it anyway. So I just want to check for failure here. If the decode had errors, I think is the thing. Yeah, if it had errors. But if it didn't have errors, I'm going to set this like this. Otherwise, I assume this decoded binary pointer is going to be 0. I think that should be true, right? Okay, so I want to put a message in here for now, which tells me whether this succeeded or not. Let's put that down there. Yeah, sticker to do in here. I've had some thoughts about how to do the error handling now, so after this I might start trying to convert all these to-dos for error handling to a proper way to feedback the errors. Oops. Okay. Is there anything else I need to do? Yeah, I need to actually read the file here, so I need a pointer to read entire file or something. So we're going to get a refile result back for library file read. Oh, we want this library resolve name, right? Can load it into the arena. Not sure about what we use for the terminator here for a non-text file. Let's have a quick look. Just 0. Which probably means no terminator. It's useful for text files to put a double null on the end. One null just in case we want to append a new line on the end. And one null to null terminate that. So it'll either be a new line in a null where the first null gets overwritten, or it'll be 2 nulls, which the second null is just like an extra byte. It's not a problem, but it just keeps things safe, I think. Safer. Right, so inside our library file read, we can have errors as well. Right, it's going to print out a little message with the error. Binary file read is what we want. What? Error message. I wonder, do we get an error message back on the decode of this? Decode screen binary file. Doesn't look like it. There's a space for an error message here. I'm sure we could have a go at populating that. I'm going to write something up here. We can actually set an error code anywhere. I think we can probably just asserting here. So I'm just going to write a note at the top. We have binary decode results, had errors, and error message fields. Okay, I'm curious whether this is actually going to work, just as it is. Oh, the read entire file we don't have. Where's our read file result? Okay, so here, these library file bytes are going to be library file read dot content bytes. Fix a few of these simple problems, and then we'll be left with the fact that we don't have read entire file, because that is in the platform API. So to get that, we need to somehow pass it through. So what I feel like we need to do here is not actually call this from the end of this function. I mean, why can't we just stick all this code somewhere else? Like after we've run this decode binary file, which isn't there, what we should call decode binary file, I feel like we can resolve dependencies now. That makes them optional as well, which is kind of nice, and you can do lazy loading of them. Is that nice? Because now you don't have the natural recursion. You could have a linked list that you append to every time you do the read. Do you need that? No, you don't need that. Hey Mikko, how's it going? Just thinking through how to resolve the library loads, because each library can have its own set of dependencies. But because I don't want the decoder to know how to load files, or need to know how to load files, at least that's the way it is at the moment, it feels like I need to split that out so that the code I call from the initializer is going to decode the file and then loop through all of the dependencies that are unresolved and kind of decode those as well. But then those things could have dependencies as well. You're sick? Oh no, it's not good at all. It's your own fault, but still 3x. x3? I don't know what you mean. Is that just like bleh, smiley face? Well, I hope you're feeling better soon. I hesitate to ask why it's your own fault. But if you want to tell me, that's fine, it's cool. Right. Well, let's do the simple thing first and just copy this across and do one level of dependencies. And I can think about how to recurse down. Now the only thing is this does seem a little heavyweight. Just so that this read file will work. I mean, that should compile. Let's just leave it there for now. I'm not really sure what's the best thing to do there. Is to like, whether just to have a binary file read dependencies thing. But then I'm going to have to kind of go through them, get called back with the file name I need to load so I can pass the bytes in. Just need to think about how to do that properly. Did I forget to save this or something? fix the simple things first. Right, decoded. There's another one of these. So this should actually be maybe main executable. And this. So that's the decoded binary. When you spend time with somebody who is sick, yes, you are likely to get sick yourself if you get too close. What's this error? Ah yes, I think we need to have a platform pointer here. There we go, it's loading. Yeah, it's really exciting that there's more programmers now on JE. Yeah, it's cool. Be good to see what people can do with that language. See what John can do with that language. Okay, so that's immediately failed. What was it trying to do? Resolve the library. Okay, let's run this on the GDB and see how far we got. I suspect it was trying to load one of those dependencies, stuff I've never loaded before. And possibly, I don't think I've loaded a shared library even before with this code, so there's probably some assumptions in there. Hey Zach, how you doing? Ooh, we should do a layout next here. What was this trying to load? Was it? It should be in one of these libraries, so I think there is. Oh, we don't have the file name yet. If we go up, maybe we have the file name. Oh, so it looks like it succeeded to actually load the data. So loading libdl.so. Zach and Mikkel, you are both crazy and strange in equal measure. What's this? Mikkel can't get his place ticket cancelled. I don't even know what you're trying to say. Does this mean you're not going to Handmade Con? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Because that would be a very sad thing. Plane tickets. Plane. Yes, that makes more sense. Woo! I haven't got my plane tickets or anything yet. I really need to get on top of that. It was payday today, so maybe that will help. It looks like we're not able to get a SimTab section from from this library, so perhaps it's time to just drop out and see what readelf says about this. So program headers, sorry, the section headers should be on S, I think. Oh no, that's symbols. Headers then. Where's H? Where's E? No. Where's capital S? So I was looking for dynamic symbols, I think. They're there. That exists. How long is it? Size. It's got some size, so why was it complaining that it was failing to load that? Let's have a quick look. Ah, it was sim tab it was looking for, not dynesim. Indeed, that section does not exist. This is probably me just not understanding the difference between the dynamic symbols and symbol table. I think the symbol table includes all the non-exported symbols, but the dynamic table doesn't. I mean, let's compare with the actual program that we're trying to run here. Just like test fixtures. What was it called? This is what happens to my eyes when I'm trying to search my memory. It was called DL Master, I think. No, DL Open Master. So we've got a symbol table on this one, and we have a dynesim as well. But what's in them? I think this is the dynamic symbols. No, it's a sim. That's both. Okay. Yeah, so these are all of the required symbols. Or the undefined symbols. This contains both the undefined symbols and the locally and globally defined symbols, or exported symbols, like main. So does that mean then when we look at that other library, now let's look at slave here. Is it slave? Would I call it like servant? Oh, it's going to be called lib something or other actually, because it's a shared library. So this one has one. This one doesn't. This has got not just undefined symbols in it, it's also got exported symbols, I think. So this one, for example. Is this because they're versioned? What does... Oh, I've been missing out on what people have been saying. Apologies. Yeah, weirdly I get paid at the start of the month in advance, which is great the first month that you're working. It's like, wow, I've got the money straight away. but not so good if you ever want to leave, where you just have a whole month offset, where it's kind of no pay. Yes, Mikhail, you should probably eat. I've eaten lots. It's a Friday. I think I've eaten my allocation for the week just today. What I was going to look at here was the dynamic bit. Where's the dynamic bit? It's just minus D. I think it's just minus D. Let's see what this one says. Let's see what this one says. Actually, maybe I want the DL open master. So I'm guessing this symbol table is the dynamic one, right? 2D8. Doesn't say where it is. D8. Okay. What about this one? Symbol tables at 400378. Oh, so looking at the symbols or the strings. 2B8 was the other one. Yeah. So it looks, it's pointing at the dynamic ones. I'm just going to go grab a quick drink. Be right back. Have you got the time off work yet for Handmade Con? I don't know if you're asking me about that, but no, I haven't. It's like at a really inconvenient time for work as well, so I'm gonna have to sort that out. So I wonder if I think I should have the code prefer the sim tab if it's there. I mean, we're doing stuff with dynamic, but I don't think we're doing stuff with dynamic symbol. So I think the sim table always includes everything that's in the dynamic table, or usually should. I'm sure I read about this in the spec somewhere. Yeah, I got to get around to that. I was meant to do it this week, but I was kind of busy. But maybe I could probably go grab my laptop and put a submission in for it. But right now, I have more important things to do, which is, I think, just that I want to get this symbol section working. So I think we just be like, okay, instead of asserting this, just say if not symbol section, then let's just set symbol section equals find section by name elf handle. Header define sim. Thinking maybe I should convert all these to, instead of using these names, to do it by. They've got like a flag, like an enum value, which may be better to use than relying on these names. So I wonder if that works. Symbol section was not declared. Symbols section. Ah! Now, if I recall, those two section types are in the same format. So, and you should always have one of those. Okay, we've got a little bit further this time. Finishing a release of a product. Kind of, we're moving into a quality and test phase at the moment. I can't really talk too much about the work. But I work on Swift at the moment, so that's kind of interesting. And I work on runtimes, so previously I worked on the Java runtime, then I worked on, this is just like a list of all the lovely runtimes that are out there. Then I worked a little bit on the Node.js runtime, and now I work on the Swift runtime. Well, a little bit on the Swift runtime. I need to list what's going on here. Unreal, yeah, you've got a new job, haven't you, Zach? I assume doing game development, it sounds like, if you're in Unreal. Never heard the details of what it was about, but well done. Oh, this is interesting. game dev remote work. Oh, it's nice if you can do it. Although good to get out if you can, from what I hear. Try and look at this link. See what Zach's working on. Squad. 50 versus 50 multiplayer first person shooter. Sounds cool. Oh, I need to get a new computer. I apologise if the stream's not able to handle this. I keep getting CPU warnings from OBS. Early access game. Pretty cool. Good job. Played Shenzhen IO yet? I haven't played Shenzhen IO yet. After playing TIS, and I think at the moment I have 0 puzzles complete because they all got rid of. I might wait for Shenzhen IO to come out. I think it's still in early access, right? I should probably go back to TIS and rerun any of the saved solutions that I have. See how many things are still valid. Just haven't got around to it. So I want to pop up the stack and find out what we are loading here. libdl. And it's failing trying to load the compilation unit information. So I guess we can have a look at that. Yeah, I saw something about that graveyard thing. Still, I'm not sure I want to play it right now. I don't really have the time. I kind of want to, but I don't really have the time, so I think I'll just reevaluate when it does come out, because I mean, even having Puzzles Graveyard is kind of, you know, meh. So read elf, we're looking for the debug info, so debug dump. I forget what the options are here. These are just the info. Oh, this library. What we got? Ah, right, it doesn't have any debug information. I thought that was okay. I thought it didn't mind. So we've got the symbols. Get the libraries. That seemed to work. This seems to have worked. So in my outer code calling this, I'm like, it's okay if the debug information is not there. I'll just, you know, skip doing the debug information stuff. But actually in the loading, it seems to require it, right? I'm going to put a little to do here. Fierydrake. I think it's going to be, is there a better way to detect when there is no debug information? So I think what we want to do is say if return code is not equal, maybe I just want this. If we're okay, then let's just do all this stuff. And if we're not okay, then hopefully debug info will just be 0. No, it won't, because we assign it here. Maybe a bunch of this stuff should be deferred. I think these should go down inside here. I'm just going to indent this whole thing. What happened there? I think I need an extra bracket here. No? Yes. Right, I think that's fine. DWARF finish. I think we need the DWARF finish either way. This DWARF dialog DIE I don't think we need, because we don't allocate that yet in this outer part. So I think that should be better. Oops. I think it worked. Let's have a quick look up through the logs. A lot of symbols. Okay. So we're reading the executable, we're finding the dependencies, we're reading the mappings, reading the unwind information in the scopes, and then I guess we start reading the symbols again? Did we read the symbols already? Well, these symbols don't look very interesting. They don't have any names on them. This must be libc that I'm going through here. It's really long. I think there is a problem with decoding the dynamic symbols. Maybe they're not the same as the standard symbols. I'm not sure what this extra stuff here is. Do you guys have a credit rating in the EU? Yes, we do. Well, I do, in the UK. Don't have to worry about it most of the time because they only ask or ask to check your credit rating very occasionally. Like on certain purchases, you might have to, or if you want to get a loan. And I think it only gets affected by loans and stuff like that. Maybe bank accounts as well. I mean, there is a credit score, but you can probably find it out. Basically, if you pay off your loans, you're fine. For the most part, anyway. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with these. I feel like I want to step through on reading dynamic symbols. I also want to put some more debug in to say which libraries we're looking at. Oh, and I need to start. I haven't really made much progress here. But I do feel like I want to print out what we're doing. So the load seems to be happening fine, but I want to print here. Oh. That's what happens when you try to type something when you're still in command mode. feel like we didn't get this message coming out. Here we go. Decode dependency libdl.so. Loaded binary libdl.so. So decode dependency libc. So what I want to do, I think, is look at the code for decoding symbols, which is here. So it's getting to this information, but this lookup is failing, and I think I know why. Look, because we've got this table here, but I wonder if this is actually failing. I feel like we should expand this out. This seems like a bad idea, just calling it like this. That was a bit lazy of me. What do we get back from this? Elf, SCN, symbol, string, table, section. I don't think it's really worth loading them if you don't have the symbol names. So I think what we want here is to say if we've got a symbol section from the first one, we should try and load that, else we should try and load this. Because the thing is, they've got two different symbol tables for whether it's a dynamic symbol table or not. So here, This is Dimstra. So, I'm not a fan of how not neat this is, but let's just go for it. Don't think anyone's using that, so this actually can just be local. That should be better. Right, what's going on? Symbol, string, table section. What? Right, I'm confused. What's going on here? No, I'm completely lost. Someone tell me what I'm doing wrong here. Wow. Unexpected else. Oh! Well, there you go. Don't know if I didn't put that in or I accidentally deleted it or what. But that was confusing me. Not declared? What? It's totally declared. Okay, well this looks interesting, right? Because now, at least, when we are decoding this dependency, we have symbols now. A lot of these are set to 0 offset though, which is... Oh, this is because they're in section 0. Section 14 might be more interesting though. But still, we have got some problem here. In binary file 2276. Oh. This is checking that the section... okay, I was going to say the section that we're pointing to with the symbol, it's saying the symbol is in section 14 of this library. And then this one's saying that the section is in section 65521, which is clearly too big. And that is what's failing, because it's trying to get that section to check it's valid, and it's failing to find it because it's probably not in there. So a quick look at what is in there again. So that's this one. So we can see section 14 is the executable code, which is great. So those ones with 14 in them are the real symbols that we can use. I'm surprised DL open isn't among them. Now this looks like a symbol version or something. So I think I'm just going to run the dynamic symbol thing here on this. Oops, wrong thing, it's supposed to be an S. So it's hitting this and it's failing. That's because it's looking at this index and it's saying, I'm going to interpret this index as a section number, when actually it's not. It's a, whatever ABS means. This is probably a special section identifier. So this here probably has some special values that I need to go look up in the doc. Then I think once I've done that, if I can get this loading, I think I'll call it there. So doc-wise, I'm looking for, maybe it's on this window, the ELF spec. And we are looking for SHMDX. Well, there's no help there. It just says it's in relation to some section, but maybe what we were looking at was a particular type of symbol. It's an object. And there's a special thing already here for UND, which is, I think, undefined. These are marked as objects. Yeah, it just doesn't really have any information here. So the other place to look for this stuff is in the elf header file. Here we go. These header flags. No, that wasn't the thing I wanted actually. So what was the value that it was complaining about when we crashed? 65521, let's see if that's enough. No, it's not. Here we go. This looks like it might be it. Special section indices. 0 for undef. SHN ABS. Symbol is absolute. I think what I want here is this whole bit here to be if new symbol dot st shundex is not equal to shn abs. Or how about that it is less than shn low reserve. So it's not undefined and it's less than low reserve, then it's a valid one. And therefore we can do all this stuff. Otherwise, I'm going to have to clear this value, right? To be 0. I think. Let's leave this print in. Where does it print out? Oh, it's got a section up there, okay, so that's fine. Hopefully that'll fix that. Time to figure out how to handle resizing in D3D. Resizing what? Okay, well that's not crashed. Let's see if we've now got symbols. Oh, that's a lot of symbols, that's libc. So hopefully we now have DL open in here. Yep, cool. So I think this is progress. We now know about all of the symbols from the first level of dependent libraries. So what I want to do here, it's also made this stuff a bit more robust, although I'm not super happy with how it's come out. I need to go over this. I need to give this a whole kind of robustness pass. But in Drake.cpp, I have got a library. This bit here, so need to simplify how user code calls into this. I think perhaps we might need to end up wrapping the whole reading of files thing and calling in, and like have this whole chunk all the way up from reading the executable, decoding it, and then reading all the dependencies. That all goes into one call which knows about the platform there. And also another to do here, which is walk the whole dependency tree and process each unique library. Currently, we only look at the first, the direct child dependencies of the executable. Okay, I think that's good for enough for tonight, and I will finish it there and carry on hopefully tomorrow. I didn't get a lot of time to stream this week, unfortunately, but I did do work in between the streams, and even if I don't stream tomorrow, I will try and get some work done on the code base. So thanks for hanging out, Mikhail, Zach, and anyone else who's hanging around. Yeah, have fun, and I'll catch you later. Bye.